Buffalo Bill draft pick back in 1971. He was fourth overall in the first round, selected by the Buffalo Bills. J.D. Hill from Stockton, California. He was a Pro Bowler in 1972. Welcome to Real Deal Sports Show, Mr. Hill.
Praise God. It's great to be on.
Yeah. How was it playing in that big year in 1972, the 2,000-yard season?
Did I want the ball more? I did want the ball more. But we had made a commitment. Lou Saban was a running coach. And when he came to Buffalo, we had great receivers and Marlon Briscoe and Hayden Moses. And for some reason, they got out of there. And we were trying to figure out why did they want to be traded. Well, they realized that Lou Saban was a running coach and that he had been called in to Buffalo to resurrect O.J. Simpson's career because things were not going the way they should have been going because he had Floyd Little and Cookie Gilchrist, and they were all great running backs. Mm-hmm. So Lou Saban put in this running offense, and what it did was it took the ball out of the receiver's hands, and it turned us into blockers. Throw it 9-10 times a game. And we were running OJ 30 times a game and trying to get 2,000 yards and get this rushing title. The pressure wasn't so much as there for us until we got to the point where we saw that that OJ could actually break the record. And so we dedicated ourselves to that. Maybe willingly and maybe not willingly, but we did it. And it turned out to be one of the greatest seasons for a running back in the history of the game.
Absolutely. That would never go down. In 14 games, even though they're going to 16, now they're going to 17 games, but that was done 2,003 yards in a 14-game season for our listening audience out there. That's how great a season that Buffalo Bill team of 1972 was at that time. And
go
ahead, Fanatic.
Yep. So then, Mr. Hill, man, thank you for being on the show. We appreciate it and appreciate your contributions to the NFL and afterwards. So thank you for being on the show, sir. Talk to us again in that 1972 season. I know we'll go post-career, but you made the Pro Bowl that year. Tell me, how was that? Like, what did the Pro Bowl mean to you all back in the day? Because we know kind of now we do a flag football and different dodgeball events as a Pro Bowler. What did being a Pro Bowler in 1972 mean to you?
Well, that means that you were one of the elite, one of the better players in the NFL, and to be associated with the names Charlie Taylors and the Paul Warfields and Fred Biletnikoffs and the list goes on. As a pro player, to be able to be in that category, I mean, that says a lot, and that you truly are with the help of others, because you can never do anything by yourself when it comes to a team sport. But for me to have had that opportunity with the program that we had at Buffalo was extremely exciting and very rewarding. It says that I put in the work.
Toward the end of your career, you had injuries and things that come up. And what happened to you toward the end of your career?
Well, because of some of the injuries that I had, and then also, and speaking truthfully, I had gotten with Buffalo. I'd become disappointed because of the running of OJ. Now, OJ and I talk frequently. We talk maybe once a week, 3 or 4 times a month. But I had become disgruntled because they were running so much that they weren't throwing the ball to me. And my career began to take a turn because of disappointment. I did my job, but I was disappointed because they weren't throwing me the ball. And I ended up being traded to the Detroit Lions because of my attitude. And if I would have had it to do all over again, I would probably do it different. I know I would do things differently. And so my career took a turn because of the running of OJ. And then we had Ahmad Rashad, had another great receiver there.
Yeah.
Rashad and Bobby Chandler. And Ahmad saw the writing on the wall, and he got out of there, you know. And does that say anything about OJ? No, that's not his fault. He was just being who he was. But the system wasn't for wide receivers. It was for a running game. Donnie Green, Reggie McKenzie, Joe DeLamiere, Paul Seymour.
And that's right. The run game, back then, the running backs were the stars, where now the quarterbacks seem to be the star guys in the league and so forth. Through the pitfalls of life, you end up getting addicted on drugs. How did drugs get into your life?
And with the painkillers, disappointment, frustrated, things weren't going the way I thought that they should go in my life, and not paying attention. I adhered to the call of the enemy and began to look outside rather than inside. Ended up on drugs, or crack cocaine. One of the sad stories that could be told, but with the ending that, as I share, that you'll see that the how good God is. While I was in Buffalo, I ended up on crack cocaine. I remember Reverend Arthur Boyd came and found me, and I was walking in the snow, trying to find drugs, and he tried to get me to turn my life around. He was praying for me. My cousin Larry Stitz over at Golden Cup Coffee, would try to find me, try to bring me around. To my wife at the time, who passed away this past year, made calls trying to get people to come and get me. Charlie Ferguson and Booker Edgerson, and I was weighing 167 pounds, and here's a player that top 4 pick in the world, as a great wide receiver, and not a college Hall of Famer, not an NFL Hall of Famer, but an All Pro. And so I am walking the streets, man, on crack cocaine, and it was a bad time in my life. And then I had established the Hill Butler football league, the kids that were playing, and so we had to have Larry Stitz had to take that over, and Jerry Butler, and I phased out, and because of my behaviors, and I made a lot of catches in the NFL. I was a pretty good receiver, but the greatest catch that I ever made, the greatest catch I've made, was when I caught the vision to allow Jesus Christ to come into my life. That's what I do today.
Wow.
For the last 20-some years, my life has been based on leading people to Jesus by using my testimony as a platform to share what God can do in your life if you would just allow Him to. And so that was very painful to have my children see me. I used to live in the third floor of the YMCA right there on Ferry, and at the time my wife would bring food to me, and my kids was there, and they'd put the food down at the steps, and I'd come down and get it. I mean, it was sad, and people would see me and they would shake their heads. But today, I just thank the Lord for saving me. I don't think God let me go through all that I went through for nothing. That's not the God that we serve. And because of what I went through today, I don't have a story. I have a testimony. If I tell a story, I might leave something out. But if I share my testimony, because we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony, and I share openly and readily with anyone that will lend their ear, and I'll let them know what God has done in my life and what He can do in yours.
Amen to that. Amen to that. One thing that this is J-GILLZ, by the way. one thing that we do over the last couple of seasons is we've had opportunities to go into the locker room, talk to the guys, talk to the players about their faith. What was the atmosphere like back then when you played in the 70s? And was that a prominent thing to do for a lot of you guys proclaiming your faith back then? I know that you talk about it now, but back in the locker room days, was that a common thing?
It was for some, and we would go to Bible study. It was nothing that we did on a regular basis where we had a weekly that we would be involved in. I don't recall anything of such, but I know today that there are Bible studies that players, and they're praying on the sidelines, and they're before and after the games, and I think that's commendable because our youth are watching us. And that's something that we should never forget, that there's someone that's watching us, because we watched the great players that came before us, and we wanted to be as such. But today, to see a player, the prayers that for Hamlin, that when he went down in that game, and to see that the whole world came together in prayer, that was one of the most powerful moments in times in our history and in sports, is to see how prayer prevailed. And that young man is upright and walking today. Have not met him, would love to meet him, and just to see a blessing walking.
Yes,
absolutely. And before we go, I know we're running out of time, Mr. Hill, but I'd like to quickly talk about the program, because you've been to Rochester with the program that you're associated with there in Phoenix, in the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Yeah, Excel. We're working to try. Our thought and mindset is that every kid's not going to go to college. Every kid's not going to be an athlete, but the kids have the ability to learn. And what we're wanting to do is, as we put this program together, is to encourage kids to learn trades, whether it be in mechanics, whether it be in building, because if they don't learn a trade, then they become prey to negativity, because they don't feel as that they are can be successful. And one of the things we realize is that every kid's not going to be an athlete, and just because you're not an athlete does not mean you're not a successful person. And so that's a part of what we are implementing and sharing as mentors. We're trying to run the program across the country and to wherever we can land, because we know that there is some young man or some young lady out there that has the ability to pick up a trade and to be able to let them know that they are valuable.
Absolutely. And you speak each week to the young people as well, correct? That's part of your mission.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
You speak to the young people and speak to adults through your DreamWorks, through the different organizations there.
Yeah. Yes. My ministry is Catch the Vision ministry. Catch the Vision. Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." And so we try to create that vision so that they don't fall to the wayside.
Absolutely.
Hey, Mr. Hill, I got one last question. You talk about the youth. Let's talk about your own two kids, man. You got Lonzel, who played in the NFL, played for the Saints. I'm down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And then your other son, Shelby, he played up there back where I'm from in Rochester. He played at Syracuse University. How cool was that to see as a dad, to see have great elite sons athletically? How was that?
I wish I could have greater stories, but at their time, to see them to succeed to that level was great. But I was not in a mindset where I could truly have appreciated it and they could appreciate me. That's why it's so important that I do the works that God has given me to do. and rescuing me out of that darkness. And we got people that are standing in the dark, looking at the light and won't come to the light. And my sons, while they were playing, they had the burden of their father out there on drugs who could be an embarrassment to them. And so I could not truly appreciate them, and they didn't appreciate what I was going through. And that's why I'm so adamant about what I'm doing as it relates to helping people to understand that darkness is all around us. And it don't only affect us, it affects our children, our children's children, and others around us. But God has called us into the light, and that we must be light. And so I didn't get to really truly enjoy my trip, but I'll tell you, but Lonzel is the centennial wide receiver for the University of Washington, best wide receiver in 100 years. What a tremendous accomplishment. And Shelby being the receiver that he was at Syracuse. And then I have my son, Khalil and Hakeem. That Khalil was at Iowa and Hakeem was at Arizona State. And so they turned out to be great athletes. They had the foundation. I just wish that their dad would have been able to walk with them at those particular times where they could appreciate what I had accomplished even more so. But I did have impact and input in their lives.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I appreciate your honesty and transparency. Mr. Hill, you are a gem, the ultimate redemption story. So thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna have you back on, definitely. A Real Deal Sports Show. I know that one of those, the XL programs, working with the Urban League of Rochester. Currently, hopefully that program will get launched down the road. And also with your story, we look forward to seeing you out in Las Vegas. When we'll be out there, we'll have you on Radio Row, and we'll get a chance to interview you again live in person coming up in February, Mr. Hill. Minister Hill, I should be saying.
JD Hill.
JD Hill. All right, JD Hill. Definitely.
Yeah, good Vegas. If you can get the Bills in Detroit in there, I know you'll be happy. You get a Bills Detroit Super Bowl.
Yeah, I still love the game, guys. I still love it. I enjoy the game very much. And I tell you, I wish I was playing this year with you got all them receivers out there and quarterbacks throwing the ball all over the place.
Hey, hey, man, Mr. JD, I know we got to go, but hey, just last question. If you had to say in today's NFL, what quarterback would you most want to be your quarterback for you to get some good money, get some good numbers? What quarterback would you want to most play with in today's modern NFL?